The Phantom Express. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the vast, desolate landscape. The only sound that pierced the silence was the distant, mournful whistle of a train. Ethan, a seasoned railway conductor, had heard the legends many times over his long career, stories of a ghost train that roamed the tracks at night, carrying lost souls who had met their untimely end on the railroad. He had always dismissed them as mere folklore, tales told to scare newcomers. But tonight, something felt different. As the clock struck midnight, Ethan stood on the platform of the small, isolated station of Hollow Creek. The wind howled through the empty buildings, carrying with it whispers that seemed almost human. He checked his watch, frowning. The last train of the night was running late, an unusual occurrence that made him uneasy. Just as he was about to head inside, a chilling gust of wind swept through the station, extinguishing the lamps. In the sudden darkness, the air grew cold, and Ethan's breath became visible in the pale moonlight. He heard the distant rumble of a train approaching, though the sound was unlike any he had ever heard, metallic and haunting, as if the very tracks were groaning in boarding the ghost train. A spectral train emerged from the darkness, its once gleaming carriages now rusted and decayed. The locomotive, shrouded in a ghostly mist, came to a halt at the platform. Ethan's heart raced as he watched the train, its windows dark and lifeless. Against his better judgment, he stepped closer, drawn by an inexplicable force. The doors of the train slid open with a creak, revealing an interior bathed in a dim, otherworldly light. Ethan hesitated, his instincts screaming at him to turn back, but curiosity got the better of him. He boarded the train, the doors closing silently behind him. Inside, the train was a surreal blend of past and present. The seats, once luxurious, were now tattered and worn, yet the air was filled with the faint scent of perfume and cigar smoke, remnants of a bygone era. Ethan moved through the carriages, each step echoing in the eerie silence, encountering the lost souls. As he entered the dining car, he saw them, ghostly figures seated at the tables, frozen in time. Men and women in old-fashioned attire, their faces pale and expressionless. They didn't seem to notice Ethan's presence, their eyes fixed on some distant point beyond his reach. He felt a shiver run down his spine as he realized these were the lost souls the legend spoke of. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. "Welcome aboard, Ethan." He turned to see a man standing at the end of the carriage, dressed in a conductor's uniform that mirrored his own, but from an older time. The man's eyes were hollow, his skin translucent. "Who are you?" Ethan demanded, his voice trembling. The ghostly conductor smiled, a sad, wistful expression. "I am Thomas. Like you, I was once a conductor. This train, it is my penance. I am bound to guide these lost souls to their final destination." Ethan's mind raced. "Why am I here?" Thomas's smile faded. "You have been chosen, Ethan. The train sensed your doubt, your curiosity. You must help us find peace." Before Ethan could protest, the train lurched forward, moving with a sudden, unnatural speed. The world outside the windows blurred into a chaotic swirl of colors and shapes. Ethan struggled to maintain his balance as the train hurtled through the night. The stories of the departed. In the next carriage, he found a young woman sobbing quietly, her face buried in her hands. Ethan approached her cautiously. "Are you all right?" She looked up, her eyes filled with sorrow. "I was on my way to meet my fiancé. We were to be married, but the train, it never made it." Ethan's heart ached for her. "What's your name?" "Emily," she whispered. He offered her a reassuring smile. "I'll help you, Emily. We'll find a way to end this." As Ethan continued through the train, he encountered more souls, each with their own tragic story. An old man who had been traveling to see his estranged son, a young soldier heading home from the war, a mother and child separated from their family. Each one a victim of the train's cursed journey. Ethan's determination grew with each encounter. He knew he had to find a way to break the cycle, to set these souls free. He reached the locomotive, where Thomas was waiting. "There must be a way to end this," Ethan said firmly. Thomas nodded. "There is a way, but it requires great sacrifice. You must take my place, Ethan. Only then can the train move on." The sacrifice. Ethan's blood ran cold. "Take your place? What do you mean?" Thomas's expression was grave. "I have been bound to this train for decades, guiding these souls. It is a burden I can no longer bear. You must become the new conductor, to lead them to their final rest." Ethan felt a surge of fear and resolve. He glanced back at the faces of the lost souls, their eyes filled with hope. He knew what he had to do. "I'll do it," he said quietly. Thomas's form began to fade, a look of profound relief on his face. "Thank you, Ethan. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten." As Thomas vanished, Ethan felt a strange energy course through him. The train's movement slowed, the chaotic blur outside the windows gradually settling into a calm, moonlit night. The ghostly figures began to shimmer, their expressions softening. Ethan took his place at the front of the locomotive, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. The train resumed its journey, but this time it felt different. The burden was heavy, but Ethan knew he was doing the right thing. The journey's end. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the train approached a beautiful, ethereal station. The lost souls, now at peace, disembarked one by one, their forms dissolving into the morning mist. Ethan watched them go, a sense of fulfillment and melancholy mingling within him. The train would continue its journey, but now it had a purpose. It was a journey of redemption, of guiding the lost to their final rest. And as the Phantom Express faded into the sunrise, Ethan knew he would never be alone again. He was the conductor of the ghost train, bound by duty and compassion, leading the way for those who needed it most.